Not sure if you guys heard it, but another bang, and this one we felt like a shake.
Hello!
Hey!
We are Joe and Liisu, and the shot that you just saw was our experience, and there were real bombs there.
Let's go!
But we will get back to that story a little bit later, because we are talking about safety in Iraq.
And why we decided to tackle that topic today is because, not like many others, we are traveling Iraq in our own car. No tour guides, no safety nets. We get to see the situation exactly as it is.
And the second reason is most of the world knows Iraq by war and terrorism. Shots that look pretty much like the first one.
So the main idea of this video is to show you how things are here on the ground, not what media says about this country. Guys, a little editor's note, and I'll be truthful with you, there's a third reason why we made this video. I just have to prove Liisu's parents that although I brought their daughter to Iraq, then she's still safe, even here. So cue string quartet, and let's talk safety.
The first thing is military and police presence everywhere. Being a security guard seems like the most common job there is here.
They're literally everywhere. Parks, supermarkets, parking lots, tourist sites. You name it, there's gonna be a security guard over there.
With a big gun.
It's kind of weird seeing them over there with their big guns, but when we have asked locals about it, they say that it makes them feel more safe. I don't know, for me as a European, like once I see a big gun, I'm like, I'm out of here.
Trouble!
But here it's the opposite. Guns means peace.
And they're not always at the same place. I don't know if you can hear it, but these are military choppers and they've been circling this area for the past hour. I don't know what their purpose is, but I have never experienced stuff like this before. And if we park somewhere in the same place, let's say for 2 days, then there is gonna be somebody coming knocking on our door saying that they're a security guard and that they want to see our passports. And it happened again. There was somebody that came knocking on our door, and for me, it's one of the most unpleasant feelings when somebody comes and knocks on our window or door or touches the car doors to see if they're open. It makes me terrified, to be honest. But they are really friendly.
That's the good thing. I just wanted to say the same thing, that they are kind and they don't give off that scary vibe. Usually they simply want to take a photo with us, want to make sure that we feel safe. Like after they come knocking on our door and be like, what the heck are you doing here? They're like, here's my number, if something goes wrong, if you see something bad, just give me a call. So it takes them like few moments. When they realize that we are not trouble, then they're really kind and they want to take care of us.
Yeah, we haven't seen one security guard that was bad.
And now I guess it's time to move on to the second topic. And this is checkpoints. Sorry guys, me again, but so that everybody is on the same page. Checkpoints, they're like road stops. There's army personnel checking everybody's papers, everybody's cargo on the vehicle, and they're all over Iraq. And I guess let's carry on with something groovy. Before entering Iraq, it was the most mysterious thing for us. I was really afraid of them. There's gonna be a point in the middle of the road where everybody stops and again, guys with big guns are just gonna check your documents, and I was afraid because I didn't know if we can get through them without being able to speak the language. That was our first road checkpoint. But most of the time it pretty much looks like this. You shall pass! They just wave us through. They just waved us through.
But still sometimes they check the van, as it's a very uncommon thing to have a van in Iraq. Usually people here just have pickup trucks with four-wheel drives to drive around the landscape that is a bit
soft.
But yeah, they check the van and they check our passports sometimes.
And the crazy thing is that they don't know the word caravan, they don't know the word motorhome, they don't know the word RV. So when they point at it, like, what's in there? I'm like, home. So they ask me along, open the doors, they look in and, nice home.
The craziest checkpoint that we have gone through was in Alkosh. And Alkosh is a city in Iraqi Kurdistan. It's a Christian city. And in that checkpoint, they took our passports.
This one here is the first city where the checkpoint took away our passports.
It was pretty scary because they took our only document that is valid here that says who we are. So they took it and we were a bit scared because it was unusual for us and we didn't expect it.
We got it back later, and after getting to know the situation here a little bit better, then I guess we can understand them as well, because Alkosh is a Christian town, and the terrorist organizations who have had their grip on Iraq, latest of them ISIS 5 years ago, they always target the non-Muslims. So I guess the Christian town just needed some extra protection to avoid horrible things that have happened to those communities before. And I guess, as we already mentioned ISIS, we should continue on the topic of terrorism. But before that, as we're talking about safety in today's video, I'd like to ask you, what do you think is the safest way to have a good time in another country? I think it's learning the language. And now it's time to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Busuu. Busuu is a language learning platform with 120 million users, plus 14 different languages to choose from. And I guess for us, one of the favorite features in Busuu is how it helps you make those connections in your brain so you really understand and remember what you just learned. For example, we are learning Arabic alphabet at the moment, and Busuu helped us remember what the Ra looks like by saying it's like a moon, or for example, Alif is like a pen. So the whole system is created in a way so that you would remember everything you learned. And of course, another incredible thing about Busuu is how it connects language learners with native speakers. When we learned Turkish, we could do it together with local Turkish people. Now that we're trying to learn Arabic, we can do it with Iraqi people. And it just creates this fun language learning atmosphere, and it's much easier to do it that way. So if you, my friends, are interested in learning new languages or are already doing it, then go ahead and check out the link in the description below. With that link you can get 1 week of the premium features free on Busuu, and after that week you can decide for yourself if you want to continue with premium or if you want to keep on learning with a free version of the app. And now back to the safety in Iraq.
Okay, so terrorism in Iraq. Many people associate Iraq with only terrorism and war. But I have to say that we haven't seen it here in any shape or form.
Yeah, for us it's been a really peaceful experience, and more than this, we expected that locals would be skeptical towards us foreigners, but it has been the opposite. So many people want to take pictures with us, they want to ask us for tea, they're so kind. And it's just wonderful to see that even after going through so much, ISIS was here 5 years ago, they are still extremely welcoming and kind.
One of the kindest nations we have ever seen. And in the last years a lot has changed with the infrastructure as well. The northern part of Iraq is really modern, and there's buildings and neighborhoods like this.
Oh wow. Such places still are closed neighborhoods, so hippies like us, we were not that welcome over there, and we kinda had to break in. Just gonna get us both killed.
Yeah, because you can't drive into closed off neighborhoods because you have to have a reason. Are you going to visit somebody?
I thought I was the brave one, wanting to go into places, but I would not have broken into a closed neighborhood in Iraq.
But we wanted to see the modern part of Iraq and want to see one of those really modern closed neighborhoods.
And although such places are really not our kind of traveling style, then it was still amazing to see that even Iraq, that we all associate with war and terrorism
and desert,
is so capable of becoming a modern nation if just the war ends. Don't look suspicious, don't look suspicious, don't look suspicious.
As we have established by now, your life is not on the line when you're in Iraq. But let's say you're in the street, walking as a foreigner.
Pickpocketing and robberies are almost non-existent. Iraq is a mainly Muslim country, and like in many other Muslim countries, just morals are held so high, and the punishments for breaking those morals are quite strict. So stealing almost never happens. But there is still scammers.
And scammers sort of lawfully take your money. For example, with us it happened in the market. We were there and the gentleman pretended to speak English. Of course, he only spoke like 3 sentences, and he offered to translate for us. So he translated between the salesman and us and took some of the money right before our eyes. So that felt pretty horrible.
And besides scamming, other thing you have to be ready for is begging. Sadly, this happens quite a lot. There's kids sent on the street. And I think the hardest for us has been when kids are begging, because sometimes they just don't stop. For example, this group of kids was following us for like 15 minutes. Some of the locals tried to forcefully scatter them away. Oi! Oi! Yok. One other guy paid them to leave them alone, and I just have to say that it's one of our rules that we will never give money to a begging child, and it's not because we wouldn't care about the kid, but it's because we don't want to enforce that habit. The more we give money to that kid, the more the parents will start sending their kids on the street, and we see that the only way to fight this child labor or kids begging on the street is just not to give them money.
And we can't speak for the locals, but if Joe gives money to one of the kids, next time you as a blonde guy are gonna come to the same place, they're gonna relentlessly harass you, because the last time this blonde guy who stood out gave them money.
And I guess now it's time to move on to the last point of this video, and we want to share a few of our own experiences. As you have probably understood, most of the time we as tourists feel totally safe here in Iraq, but sometimes we still stumble onto remnants of past war. And a good example of such times is this. I know it can come as a surprise to many, but there's a lot of beautiful nature, especially here in Iraqi Kurdistan, the northern part of the country. But more often than not, we just can't go ahead and walk into the nature, because, for example, here in Suleimani region, we saw like 3 kilometers that way a sign that says landmines. And it's just sad that landmines can stay in the ground for 100 years and still be dangerous to anyone going by that place. So we only get to go to nature and such beautiful places where there is a clear path to follow.
And another time we got to feel the legacy of the war was in the north. We were parked on a hillside and it was quite a rainy night. We heard some bangs but thought it was some kind of a mining thing.
Or thunder or whatever.
Yeah, and then in the morning when we started moving and got to the first checkpoint,
not sure if you guys heard it, but another bang, and this one we felt like a shake.
we had bombs with the security officer himself, and we got pretty anxious, but I think we didn't really understand what was happening at that time, because it was such a new experience for us to actually feel it, hear it, and be at that point where you can feel the ground shake. The security officer was surprisingly calm, and we understood that this is not new for him. This is very common here. And he said that the Turkish army was bombing the PKK terrorist organization's positions.
How we accidentally drove into a war zone in Iraq.
But the good thing is, he told us where we could be safe.
So at that moment we were terrified. It felt just weird, feeling the earth shake when a bomb hits the ground.
It's the first time. How do you know how it's supposed to feel if you've never felt it?
But I guess we got over that feeling once we started reading more, because these bombs are luckily not aimed at civilians, and it's a fight in the Iraqi Kurdistan mountains, so tourists and locals are luckily not targeted.
And that's also the beauty of those checkpoints. They tell you which way to go. For example, at that checkpoint, he said not to go up north into the mountains where the bombing was, but to keep on driving to the east. And if there is a threat nearby, they will tell you not to go there, because they know.
Yeah.
That's their job, to know where is a security risk at that time. So in conclusion, we left that checkpoint, we kept on driving, and we haven't had any experiences similar to that one after that incident.
So friends, if we look at the title of this video once again, is Iraq safe? I would say yes, it is. It's still rough and raw around the edges, but it makes it an interesting destination for a traveler.
And yeah, we have never felt that our life was in danger. There have been times where we were anxious because we didn't understand the situation, or because we read too much of the news again and then got caught in the information that was falsely exaggerated about the situation.
So without a doubt, if we read the news, we always feel like we're in danger. But once we are here, in this moment, there hasn't been any threats. And I guess this concludes the whole situation pretty well, that looking for outside or reading the headlines that only want your clicks, Iraq looks dangerous from out there, but here we feel quite safe. Thank you so much for joining us for today's journey, and we will see you next time with some new adventures from here, from Iraq. Take care, friends. Bye.
Bye!